Something interesting, that you'll see that I actually called Donald Trump Donald Dump because that is what I think it is. A few of us, including South Africans, have dumps for presidents, and that's what I think about our president too. So I think that America is in the same position. But I must admit, being in the entertainment industry, he and all of them offer us very good scripts. So we don't need to think for the next 4 years what we're going to write. There's a constant flow of comedy that comes from that. Ask Trevor Noah about that. He'll tell you exactly what he said about that. So I'm joined by Abbas. I thought that Abbas was really interesting because he has, or rather hails from Afghani descent, and he lives in the USA. And when he said that, the first thing I thought about was his uncle that I know called Donald Trump. So I want to get your perspective just very briefly. I mean, being in America, having that descent, and you know that Trump is talking about all these places at the moment,
Right.
and ruffling up racial tensions and whatever he's doing that he thinks he's doing
Right.
to make America bad again. And then obviously I see you wear the traditional headgear there. That
Yes,
could
sir.
be setting off an alarm. I'm 100% sure that right now Trump is sitting with a photo of yours on his desk. How
Yeah.
do you deal with all of that?
I definitely wouldn't put it past him that he would be looking at my photo right now, and that would be on his list. But no, I'm totally joking. But in all reality, there is a bit of a hectic situation in the States right now, as I'm sure a lot of people know, following on social media with everything happening. And I know there's a temporary, what is it called? A temporary upliftment
There's
of
a
the
stay.
ban.
There's a stay on the travel ban for now.
And apparently he's gonna try to veto it now, and this like all these things going on.
But the concept remains.
Right, the concept is there, and the fact that it's on the table, and there are people who are for it, and but I think the problem with the media for me in relaying what's going on in America and everything is that media thrives off of negativity. That's just generally a fact. Like, you're not gonna see if you take a general clip of the media, the majority of what's gonna be covered is like negative things that are happening.
Because it sells.
It sells.
And you're right, and
You know?
that's probably one of the reasons that Trump actually became president, because the media loved the crap that he was talking.
Exactly, and he's been involved in media before this, so he, out of all presidents or candidates as well, knew how to really use that tool better than anybody else. So I really don't know if he's like a complete dump 100% and really dumb as well, or an evil genius. I'm really stuck in between the two, or it could be a combination of both.
He's a
You know what I mean?
combination.
Yeah, I think
And he's the best.
Yeah.
In actual fact, I must think, to be honest with you, somebody asked me this question the other day from a psychology point of view. Is he a narcissist? And I said that he's the king and the president of all narcissists.
Yeah.
And now you got this
100%.
narcissist that you are fueling with more power. Imagine what you're creating is a nuclear bomb in the shape of a man.
Yeah.
That's what you actually have.
Yeah.
But just your thoughts.
Yeah.
How do you, as a person, deal with that? Is there a fear inside you thinking that that's my place where I live now, and
Right.
and people are going to look at me differently? Is there that?
So my experience, because I was born and raised in America, so I wear this hat because I like it and I try to rock it like a Rastafarian. But like, I'm from America, born and raised. My parents came from Afghanistan. Leaving the country at this time too, a lot of people were like, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? You're going? Will you come back? Will they let you in?" The reality of the situation is the overwhelming majority of Americans are open-minded, good-hearted people.
Now I heard that. Sorry to cut you there.
Yep.
I heard that this weekend I was at a function and I sat with two people that stayed in America, and they said that what you see with and how accepting people are of you and your culture is absolutely a different story
Yeah.
to what's happening up there in Washington at the White House.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's true.
That's true. And in response to the ban, a bunch of Americans have been going to major airports and cities in America and protesting. So there's been like crazy protests as soon as it happened. Americans and people who are like and I think I heard a statistic that like 95% of people at these protests aren't even Muslims, going to protest the bans of Muslim countries. And then you see these beautiful pictures and videos of people standing in like a circle holding hands while Muslims pray in the airport.
Do you believe, so you, just to reiterate, you are saying that the average American doesn't have an issue with Muslims?
Correct. And the issue is, though, like with all groups, there's an extreme. and the extreme tends to be the loudest, and therefore they get the most attention, and so people think they're bigger than they are, which gives them more power. But if we minimize them and say they're actually small, they're actually irrelevant, and they're not the majority, and let us not treat them as such, then we disempower them. But by giving their voice power, we're giving them that, and we have that in our hands of who are we going to give our attention to. And so for me, the overwhelming majority of Americans are those good-hearted people, those people that are on the protests who are allowing Muslims to pray. But there are these definite, I'm not denying the fact that there are a surprising amount of right-wing conservative white Americans who are racists. And that's a fact of America. But the overwhelming completely outnumber them. So if we can align and focus on the positive and build with these people, we can really disempower these people.
Correct, yes. And I think that evil always outweighs good in the end of the day. But just looking forward...
You mean good outweighs evil?
Sorry, the other way around.
Trump,
you have confused me about this. I lost my traction.
He's confused as well.
Yeah, you confused me about that because it appears at some point,
exactly,
Mr. Trump, that your evil is winning to some point. Mm-hmm. And I know that he watches everything, so I'm hoping he gets the video. But just in conclusion,
yes, sir.
What's your message to other Americans that don't feel as confident as you do? There are probably Americans sitting out there that are Muslim Americans that feel that, our lives are over. We need to look for the next flight out.
Yeah.
Things are bad. That's going to happen with some people. What's your message to them?
To Muslim Americans in America?
Yes.
My advice to those Muslims would be that we are living in a time where the world in and of itself is becoming less and less of a safe place, and most of our homes that we came from are not even stable places to go back. So the idea of I'm just going to leave and just go do this somewhere else where it's going to be easier, it's actually less and less possible nowadays. But also, my belief is that we are put in places for a reason. God has put us in America to connect with the people there, to show them that the Islam that ISIS and Boko Haram and so-and-so is talking about, that isn't Islam. That's not what our Prophet taught us. And through our dealings with people in times like these, we can change people's mind. And I'll end with one story of one of my friends to show that we can really affect people and we can be that light in their life that will completely change what they know of as Islam. When I was going to high school in America, I played on the varsity soccer team. And when I left, my sister, she's a year younger than me, and I was going to school out in California, and one day we're talking on the phone, catching up, and she's like, I was in this class she was taking in high school, an elective course called Combating Intolerance. And she said they put up a picture of a guy who looked like a terrorist on the PowerPoint. And then the teacher asked the class, what do you think of when you see this picture, right? The class is combating intolerance, so they're trying to work with these stereotypes and battle against them. And so some people are, it's a terrorist, that's what a Muslim looks like. And then the friend who I played soccer with, who was in the class, raised his hand and he said, I would never ever think that that's a Muslim, or that a terrorist and a Muslim are two in the same people. I would never associate them, because I had a friend that I played soccer with who was one of the best people that I've met, and who was just a really good person. And so I know that's not what Muslims are. That's not to brag on me, that's just to say that if you're a good person, like a lot of Muslims are, and you have good relationships with non-Muslims and all different types of people from all different backgrounds, your relationship will be a bigger testament to Islam than anything they read, hear, or see. Because that one way that you touch that heart will be like, no, that person, I know that person. That's not who they are. So when the protest comes to stand up against the bannings of Muslim countries, they'll be at that protest because they know that's not Islam.
Correct.
That's not Islam, and they'll stand up with us.
So it's about living that example at the same time.
That's what it is.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Very inspiring, and finally, an on-the-ground approach. I always say this, and I always say this to our viewers, that sometimes you need to be careful about the media. And yes, we're in the media, but there's a reason I'm saying that. Sometimes, and I recently traveled abroad, as many of you know, and what I found happening on the road in the East was not what we were hearing and seeing in the papers. And likewise, when you speak to somebody that's on the ground in a particular country, that's a different perspective from the story that the media wants to sell you. And they sell you the story because it makes them lots of money. Not in my case, but in any case.
There's a beautiful quote as well, just to go off of that. One of my favorite people is Malcolm X. in America, and I recommend everyone who hasn't read his autobiography to read the autobiography of Malcolm X. It'll change your life. But he says, if you're not careful, the media will have you thinking the oppressor is the oppressed and the oppressed is the oppressor.
That's
right?
very powerful.
And so we have to be careful what we consume, and we have to be careful where we get our information from. And just, I would recommend, like my brother here, we just met. I trust you, and I would love to follow your stuff and learn more from you because you're a reliable person. But be careful where you hear your stuff from. Know the people you're listening to, know the sources, and don't listen to media more than you need to. Go to your good sources, get what you need to, pray for people, join in good causes, but don't waste time just feeding on negativity. Rather build on the positive, because the media usually, it's not going to help you build positive, it's going to fill with negative. So get what you need to so you're aware and conscious and you can stand up for truth and justice, but find out what are ways that I can engage and help build with other people in good ways and positive ways.
Thank you, Abbas. That's inspiring. Now that he said something from Malcolm X, I want to do the same thing. I know that Malcolm X also said
Yes, sir.
That we need to think globally but work locally.
There you go.
And within this context, I think that Muslims in South Africa and wherever you are, you need to work locally to build our brand and to clear out these negativities by doing dawah in the correct way, and that's leading by example and mixing with everyone to show the beauty aspects of Islam. And in that way, if everybody does that, that circle will increase and increase and will be a global phenomenon. So Malcolm X, after all these years, is still very pertinent. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, remember that Abbas is on Youth Ignited with Yasin Kipi on his show on Deen TV coming soon. More about this kind of thing, I'm sure. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
See you, Cape Town.